Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Friday edition of the Computer America Show. On the cusp of a fun-loving weekend, hopefully for all of you. We have two interesting guests tonight. In the second hour, we're going to have Ring on the show, the CEO and inventor of Ring. This is a doorbell you put on your front door, and it interfaces with your computer and your smartphone, and basically you can see visually who's at your front door. Very interesting technology. And in the first hour, we're going to have Morgan Wright here, who is a cybersecurity expert. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show as we begin 2 hours of Computer America on a Friday night.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show has been beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And it's Friday!
Yeah!
Yes, it is. Another week of broadcasting excellence planted firmly in the ground. And we have a...
making the ever-growing tree, or forest, that is Computer America.
Yes, exactly.
I don't even know where that analogy was going, but...
Neither did I. I just kind of just flowed trippingly off the tongue.
There you go.
Exactly. And I was tired of saying, in the can and everything. So I'm start changing around it. I think just add a little variety, keep everybody off balance. But welcome into a Friday edition of the show. And... because it is Friday, that means we're going to have a social media winner of the week. That's right. We got a Logitech T650 wireless glass touchpad. That at $80 going to go to somebody. Really nice.
Again, I'm assuming you already picked out the winner.
Yes, I have.
And just to make everyone sweat it, which social media site did you pull them from?
It was from. Was it Facebook or YouTube?
Probably Facebook, because YouTube was last week.
That's right. So Facebook. Yes, I picked it from Facebook, but they start to all blend together. Yeah, Facebook. You're right. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
at least you know that if you didn't have a chance to sign up for a Facebook contest yet, you probably didn't win.
Yeah, but just go to our Facebook page. It's right to any of our website pages at ComputerAmerica.com. We have those little charms that are on the right side of every page that we have there, and just click on the Facebook page, and it'll take you to our Facebook page. Just like it, or go to our YouTube page and subscribe to that. Our Twitter page, our Google Plus, Pinterest, we have them all there, and that's how you get entered into our contests. It's just that simple. At ComputerAmerica.com, all the things that we do right at ComputerAmerica.com. So get involved, interact, and by the way, if you have a comment or a question for our guest tonight, we would love to hear from you. Pick up the phone and give us a call. 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. We also have our live interactive chat room. Just from our homepage at ComputerAmerica.com. Actually, from any page. The pull-down menu just says Show Lounge. And what you do is you just... you can click on that, or if you hover over it, it gives you an option for a full screen chat, whatever you like to do. And it'll say wanna chat, and you just type in a username. That's the name you're going to be known by when you go in there, and you're done. And you're in our chat room. We have a lot of chat room participants. You can interact with us there. That's just another way to interact with the program. And of course, the other really nice thing about what it is that we do at ComputerAmerica.com is, since we're a radio talk show, but we also stream live video. That means you can actually watch the Computer America show. You can see me. You can see Ben's smiling face.
Well, let's be honest here. The real attraction is, of course, myself because I'm gorgeous. But yes, Craig is also there. Sometimes we have guests who give demonstrations. Whenever we don't have something like that, we'll, of course, just have the guest website with a product and sometimes videos playing on our video side. So if you just want to, maybe come back and watch the video after you've already heard the just the audio, there's some nice content that goes along with the audio. But by no means is it mandatory. It's just a cool little feature. So, diehard listeners, listen on.
Yes, well, nothing is mandatory here on the show other than you having to be here. I mean, that's mandatory.
Either that, or you will get a ticket. So yes.
And Ben refers to the background screen. He'll also show you the websites, and he does a lot of the demonstrations as well. That's all on him, and you can all see that on our live streaming video. Of course, again, the best way to interact with this, pick up the phone and call is 347-884-8881. Coming up in the second hour, Ring is going to be here. This is very interesting. We're going to have the company's CEO and chief inventor, Jamie Simonoff, is going to be here. Simonoff. And it's a video doorbell. It lets you to answer the door from anywhere using your smartphone. You don't even have to be home and answer it. You can see who's ringing your doorbell. It's really a cool product. Interfaces with your computer, your smartphone, or touch pad. A lot of unexpected features. We will certainly be talking to him. Now, I'm just breaking up here a little bit because I just saw one of our chat room participants. I haven't seen him in a few days, so I'm just shouting out a big hello to Lunchy in there. So that said, anything else you want to mention before we get started with our first hour guest, Ben?
No, contact social media, how to contact us. No, that's enough stalling for time.
All right. Any good movies premiering, by the way, tonight? Friday night?
Tonight? No, I'll have to look that up, but I'm sure there's something good. Don't, lampoon us, but nothing that leaps to mind.
All right. Well, our guest this first hour is Morgan Wright. And you say, who's Morgan Wright? Well, let me tell you about Morgan Wright. From a city cop to a national leader of Homeland Security networking operations, Morgan Wright is a recognized expert on international cybersecurity and U.S. law enforcement. Very impressive. In addition to testifying before Congress on matters of cybersecurity, he has appeared numerous times in national TV, radio, and print media as an expert on computer crime, cyber terrorism, computer intrusions, and crime investigations. And he's here with us tonight. Morgan, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
I am great, Craig. Thank you for having me on.
Our pleasure. Not a day goes by that we don't hear something about cyber threats to us and to
Right.
And there's just something in the news which we can get to momentarily. Before we even get to that, why don't you just give us a little bit of an overview of what it is that you do and who you do things for? I know you have your own website. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Who is Morgan Wright?
The real Morgan Wright. Yeah.
I am Batman. No, I wish I was. I started off, as I said, as a city cop. I was a state trooper detective. I spent about 18 years in state and local law enforcement. I actually started doing a lot of stuff with behavior analysis, interview and interrogation, taught out at the National Security Agency, taught to the FBI Secret Service. But then I made a mistake one time. I was the guy that figured out how to network computers in an investigation section. So I started getting involved in technology, teaching computer crime. So I ended up coming out here to the great Commonwealth of Virginia and doing work in the intelligence community, the defense community, the Department of Justice. Was a senior advisor for the State Department's anti-terrorism assistance program, so went to quite a few countries. And then most recently, I was the senior law enforcement advisor for the Republican National Convention back in 2012, helping them build and deploy a private broadband network. We interoperated with about 50 different agencies. So, I've had a lot of fun doing this stuff. And one of the things that I really love, besides the technology aspect, is there, as you were saying when you started the show, every day there is always something new to talk about, to think about. There's about 1 million new threats being released into the wild every single day. So this is something that is going to continue to grow. And quite frankly, based on the way things are going in the world, this becomes one of the most important things we do now, which is how to secure cyberspace.
Were you throwing that out as a little speakers, or do you really mean there are like over 1 million threats each day?
No, that's there are. The Symantec put out a report recently called the Internet Security Threat Report, and you can pick up these same reports from Verizon, AT&T, and in that they document over 1 million types of threats being released every day. Now, some of them aren't, they're not earth-shattering, but they're new variants, they're strains of different types of malware. But yeah, about 1 million a day is what's being released out there. The wicked ones are the ones you don't know about. They're called zero-day exploits. Nobody's heard of them. Nobody knows they exist. And that's the majority of how some of the big intrusions happen, is using these zero-day exploits.
Well, obviously the face has changed. It used to be they wanted you to know that, hey, we erased your hard drive. Ha ha ha. That doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
That doesn't happen anymore. They basically they don't want you to know that they're on your system and working in the background. So and that's pretty much the general consensus. It's pretty much all about the money, and these days, and they don't want you knowing that they're on your system trying to steal stuff from you. So
yeah, I mean, you've got.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you got big organized crime going on out of Russia, but then you've got state actors like China who aren't doing it for the money. They're doing it for the intelligence and the intelligence value of the information they're stealing. So, what we just found out about yesterday, the data breach involving the Office of Personnel Management, the Department of the Interior, 4 million identities possibly compromised. Mine's going to be one of them. I held a top secret clearance. My packet, my information, is somewhere in OPM. So it's really about building up dossiers, profiles. This is major espionage going on, and they're using cyber warfare to do it.
So what are you doing? Go ahead.
I was gonna say that, like, we hear about all these, especially like the very very big breaches. Whenever they hit retailers, or whenever they hit retailers and stuff like that, and especially the government, makes national news. But you just said yourself, as as probably one of the ones that were compromised during this whole thing. I noticed, like I myself was compromised during the Home Depot one, and that wasn't too good. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of people, they hear about it, they hear about these things all the time. They know that they're probably one of the ones who just lost their information, but then I don't know many people who go out and change their accounting numbers, change their all their security features. Right. They don't do anything. So what are you going to do now that you're compromised?
Well, I've already taken a lot of steps beforehand in terms of, I've locked down many of my things. I use two-factor authentication. Google has a great app called Authenticator. I use, like I said, two-factor authentication for everything from PayPal to Twitter to my iCloud account. So, I've tried to lock down everything I can. Look, at some point, there's only so much you as the individual can do. Then you have to react to things. But I'll tell you, one of the biggest things you can do in this day and age, you have to have identity theft protection, comprehensive restoration. You never know when you're going to be the victim. So, you got to have that in place beforehand, before the breach. When it comes in afterwards and they say, we're going to monitor your credit, quite frankly, that's worthless. They're not after your credit. They're after your information. Medical ID theft is huge. So, I mean, there are some steps consumers can take to not be a victim. The problem is that we become so attached to our technology. We want it easy. We want it fast. We want it quick. We are willing to trade privacy and security for ease and convenience. And that's it's a cultural thing. And there's not an easy answer for that other than time and training.
So you're saying there are companies out there, that will, they say they will protect you, and you're saying those are not, they're not of value somehow. I mean, I'm just
no. I was Yeah, no, I was talking about like right now when the government said for the 4 million they're going to offer credit monitoring. That's really not the issue. Credit card theft, credit theft is only about 17% of what really affects consumers. It's medical ID theft, it's tax fraud. We just got through with the tax season. The IRS tax system was also hacked. The tax transcript system, where you can get your previous tax year's returns, that was compromised based upon the compromise of the healthcare systems like Primera and Anthem, because that's where your name, date of birth, social security number is. So, my point is that they're trying to put a Band-Aid on a much bigger problem. Monitoring my credit if I'm compromised isn't going to save me. What's going to save me is comprehensive identity monitoring, comprehensive identity restoration, should I ever become a victim. Right now, many of these companies check the box because it sounds good. Hey, we're offering credit monitoring for everybody who's breached. But like with the Chinese or with the Russians, they're not after your credit cards. They're after intelligence information, name, date of birth. They want to hack the IRS system. So that's one thing. The real the other 83% of the problem is everything else I talked about: your name, your social security number, your date of birth, medical ID, passport number, driver's license number. That's what's really at risk here, not just your credit cards.
So are you saying you're saying services like LifeLock, for example, that they're not really focusing on what needs to be protected?
No. If you look at LifeLock, ID Shield, that's backed by Kroll, folks like that, they're monitoring a lot of things. I was being very specific because when the government comes out or when you're a victim of Home Depot, they say they will only do credit monitoring.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, they're monitoring your credit score, your credit record. That's only 17% of the problem. It's the other 83%. My medical ID, somebody stealing my character, using my name and date of birth to commit character or criminal fraud or file my taxes. That's where the really big things are happening. So no, it's just a Band-Aid, but it speaks to the much bigger problem, which is we've got to get real serious, and there has to be accountability for securing our national systems, our critical infrastructure, which is really at risk. The healthcare information systems, they're 10 years behind where everybody else in the industry is. So yeah, it just speaks to a much bigger problem. We're always reacting as opposed to responding.
Yeah, and I guess the reason that, and it may be confusing for some people, why they would be so interested in, let's say, your driver's license, why they'd be interested in your date of birth and just things about your identity without actually taking your credit. And is it because at the end of the day they want to sell it on the some kind of black market that they have? They can sell those for guaranteed, $1 for a credit card or 50 cents for someone's address. Like, they can sell those and get guaranteed money rather than having to jump through all the hoops of trying to just straight out, steal someone's money.
Yeah, no, I can take you to a website right now, black market website, show you what's for sale. But credit card records, like you say, go for 50 cents to $1. Medical ID records go for $10 to $50.
Wow.
That has all of your information in there: your name, date of birth, social security number. And what's being used, for example, the banks have so much fraud detection in place, and you're not liable for any of that stuff, that somebody might get away with a couple hundred, maybe even $500. But the average fraudulent tax return is netting these guys $3,500 to $4,500. It's staying below the IRS radar. That's why they lost $5.8 billion in fraud last year. That's why in this last time, 100,000, they were successful 50% of the time. They tried about 204,000 times. They got it right about 100,000 times. So that's where the real big money's been made. Banks and credit card issuers have become very good about spotting fraudulent transactions. So it's tougher to get. That's why it's capitalism. That's why they're only worth 50 cents to $1.
Wow.
And that's a very important point. Is so they took all that stuff. Like, right now, it probably really won't matter that much, but that kind of breach of information will might just come back one day to once you're compromised through cybersecurity, it's not okay, well, I just changed the lock on my door and I'm done. Like, it's a long-term thing.
Yeah,
absolutely. This has a very long shelf life. So the fact that I have your information, I don't need to use it tomorrow because I can guarantee you you have a better chance of seeing God than you have of changing your name, date of birth, social security number, getting a new card issued to you. So you're going to live with certain personally identifiable factors for the rest of your life. You can't change those. It becomes very difficult. Whereas you can change your lock, you can get a new credit card. And the reason the Chinese, the folks like that, even the Russians are pulling information, this is when nation states are involved, state actors, they're after information for intelligence. They're building portfolios on people. The Chinese, it's called the 1,000 grains of sand philosophy. They get a bit here, they get a bit there. To us, we don't think it's valuable, but when you put it together, now you're building a mosaic of information. I worked in the intelligence community. We built massive systems to do exactly things like this, pull in all sorts of information that may not make sense to you, but when you put it together and put it on a wall and start building a picture, pretty soon that picture starts becoming clear, and the more grains of sand you put on there, the fuller and more complete that picture becomes, because we want to know who's talking to who, when are they meeting with them, what kind of priorities do they have, and I can tell what kind of priorities they have by when they get up and leave their house. There was a famous case of where for a long time Russia knew when we were planning major military operations, because they would count the number of pizza delivery vehicles going into the Pentagon, because that meant people were staying there late. Why do you stay late? To plan operations. So people are creatures of habit. So this is much bigger than people think. It may not affect you and me today, and maybe I'm not the target, I'm out of it, I don't do it anymore, but I don't know. But we don't know why they're collecting this information, but we know it's going on, and we know this is the tip of the iceberg. And I can guarantee you, out of this hack that just happened, the last few days that was reported, it actually happened over 5 months. There are more agencies involved: Department of Homeland Security, the Social Security Administration, NASA. Many, many agencies were being hosted in this data center by the Department of the Interior. So just wait for the other shoe to drop, because there will be a lot more shoes.
Yeah, let's focus on that particular hack for a little bit, because it was so recent. I mean, do they know anything about it, or are they not releasing anything saying how they were compromised? Let's see, what's the term? Advanced persistent threat or something like that. Where was it one of those cases where they're able to get in and actually gain access, and then they just kind of secretly took stock of everything? Or was it a 0-day threat? Like, have they released any more details about how this hack was done?
Yeah, the FBI came out and released a statement saying that it appears right now to be a 0-day exploit that was used to gain access to a data center in Denver, run by the Department of the Interior. It's called the Interior Business Center, IBC. And they support over 150 different agencies and organizations, doing everything from HR to payroll to acquisition, and touch a lot of different systems. And what an advanced persistent threat means is that it's something that basically keeps coming at you all the time. And in this case, we know that they got into the system back in December. They discovered some anomalies in April, and it took them from April until the middle of May using a system called Einstein out of DHS. We don't know for sure when Einstein was deployed. It's supposed to be Homeland Security's, scientific genius method of determining when an intrusion happens, stopping these things in real time. We don't know when that was deployed, but the Chinese were in this system. This advanced persistent threat, APT, was ongoing for 5 months, which means they were exfiltrating data, taking data out of that system over a period of 5 months before they were discovered.
Wow.
It's crazy to think of it. And again, that's not a small business. That's not someone who is supposedly susceptible. That's a government agency. You would think that they'd be safer than most people possibly could.
Well, we had a joke that said, if the public only knew, when I was doing work at the Department of Justice, and yesterday's technology tomorrow. Small businesses are a big target for other reasons, because they do go after cash, and they do go after financial data and information. They go after all sorts of businesses for the intellectual property value, economic espionage, looking at plans and patents and intellectual property, stealing those things, because a lot of places are trying to beat the R&D curve. So it's easier to steal than it is to do the R&D on it and create it yourself. So look, small businesses are a huge target too, just because you hear about the government and you would think, I got to tell you, this is kind of get on the soapbox for just 5 seconds, but the reason this happens is no accountability. Name a government person who's been fired when there's been a major screw up, from either healthcare.gov, which I testified before Congress on, to the IRS hacks, to the data breaches at OPM. This is the third time in recent memory OPM or one of their contractors have been breached. You had the State Department breach, which led to the White House being breached. But yet after the Target debacle, the CEO got fired. When a senior vice president at Apple screwed up the maps when they deployed it, Steve Jobs had that guy removed. I mean, not perfect accountability in the private sector, but we're lacking that.
Can't really get too much into that, but I will say that might be a little bit on the fault of a not so informed public. It's if they knew why these things are being hacked, like I feel like there's like a sense of, well, they're trying their best and China just got one step ahead of us, or Russia got one step ahead of us, or something like that, then hey, that's it. But like I really do feel like that people don't know what's going on, so they aren't asking for heads to roll.
Yeah. And let me ask you this, Morgan. I mean, we're hearing all these things. Why don't you give us some tips or something as consumers, what we could do to kind of stay safe online? I mean, there's so many things going on there. I mean, aside from the normal things that we tend to do, I mean, what else might you recommend?
Look, there's some pretty easy things people can do. Password protect everything you have. I mean, even your smartphones, your tablets, don't leave them unsecured, especially if you're going on vacation. Be careful about turning on your location-based services. Make sure you understand your privacy settings on social media. One of the big faux pas that happens, people go on vacation, the first thing they want to do is post all the pictures, where they're going.
Yeah.
So now everybody knows where they're at. They see the stuff. And, we're seeing, because mobile devices are being targeted, Craig, we're seeing an increase in the attacks against Bluetooth, using wireless kind of man-in-the-middle attacks where people are associating with rogue access points. And last year, that same Symantec report I was telling you about, last year was the first documented case of crypto ransomware on an Android device, a mobile device. So now that mobile, there's more search going on mobile. So, we're seeing these lockdown. Make sure you back everything up. But even at home, even to this day, I'm surprised when I look around my neighborhood, the number of unsecured wireless access points, no password, or even weak passwords. And I think before we came on air, we were talking a little bit, but there's a app out there, I've got no dog in the hunt with any of these folks, but Google has an app called Authenticator, and it's two-factor authentication. So many services use it, like Dropbox and Evernote, and PayPal, and all of these different services where you have to have a username, a password, and then a code that's only good for 60 seconds. If people would just do some simple stuff like that, I mean, you could knock out 80% of your problems by just implementing 20% of the available technology or countermeasures out there. So, and the biggest thing too is that's on the technology side. On the personal side, don't be curious. Don't click on links. Facebook, you don't have to download software to view a video. Those are scams.
Yeah.
If it's too good to be true, it is. So quit clicking those links to get that free, $500 gift card from Walmart. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates are not giving away all their money. Walmart's not giving you a $500 gift card. So social media has become a huge area for consumer fraud, because it exploits the trust relationship between us, because we trust each other. We're on social media together. Therefore, I click on just about anything you send me.
Here's one I just got from Chase Bank. It says, hello, you received a refund of $300.90 from Comcast Corporation on April the 6th, 2015. You haven't updated your personal information for 6 months. Please log into your Chase account to reactivate your account and complete the transaction.
And I'm sure they even give you a handy little link to click.
And guess what? I don't bank at Chase Bank. Never have.
No, they're probably playing the numbers. It's Chase is huge. Comcast is huge. They're playing the numbers.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
Yeah, but you know what they're playing on? Curiosity. Somebody say, well, click, maybe I can get that $300. So they click on that link. And, there's a little trick. Actually, there's a neat little trick people can do just so they can see it for themselves. On most computers, I'm a Mac guy, and I'm pretty sure it works this way on Windows. But if you just don't click on it, but if you just hover your mouse over the link, the cursor, the actual URL will pop up, and you'll see a lot of these things have nothing to do with Chase.
Sometimes.
Or it'll be chase.com.ru.
Yeah.
And it's not really Chase. It's Russia.
Yeah, yep. Exactly. So it used to be, although sometimes the link itself looks legitimate, as you say, and you used to be able to hover over it. Recently, I noticed the hovering doesn't work anymore. They've done something to change that. But you can go into, and you can still right click on it and and say, explain, reveal the actual URL. It'll do that. And obviously, you're going to see that it's nothing like what you think it's supposed to be. But again, banks don't do that.
Nope.
They don't contact.
They don't ask for your pass. They don't say click here to reset your password. They don't say, hey, your account's overdue. Click. In fact, the banks tell you. They usually send out now. Some of the banks that I have, which I won't tell, obviously, but it'll at least give you the last 4 digits of your account or your credit card number to show that it's legitimate. But it says we will never ask for your password. We will never do these things. But look, folks, there's an easy fix. Don't click on the email. If that's really the case, go to the legitimate website, log in from there, and take care of the actions. Do not trust the email if you have any doubt whatsoever. And I'm like you, I get these. Here's another one that comes out now. You get these messages that say, hey, you have a voicemail waiting from, Snapchat or WhatsApp. Well, who delivers voicemail in WhatsApp? There's no, I have 15 of these messages literally in the last 10 days, same design, same blue button, say click here to hear the voicemail, and they all have different URLs. So yeah, you're right, but you're absolutely right. They're playing the numbers. And look, it's a better version of direct mail. You send out 100 responses, you're probably going to get 15 or 20 back instead of 3.
Yeah. Morgan, we're going to take a little break here, and we're going to continue on. You're listening to the Computer America Show. We're talking to Morgan Wright about cybersecurity. We're going to be right back with them after these words. A news testable review from Marty Winston. That's all coming up. Please stay with us.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-866-663-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they are available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Oh, didn't you know she was going to do that? Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Amzer Universal Stando tablet stand. Tablets can be a puzzlement when it comes to what to do with them when you're using them and then what to do with them when you're not using them. They tend to eat up a lot of desktop space. When we travel, we take a Bluetooth keyboard so we can type faster and more accurately for mobile versions of many apps. But back at the desk, we tend to use the tablet for a more limited number of specific apps, from tracking incoming packages to our calendar to weather. We got in the Amzer Stando Universal Tablet Stand for review. It holds the corners of any 7-inch to 11-inch tablet with spring-loaded sliding grips, which are effective. The grip panel rotates freely in a full circle. It's on an adjustable tilt hinge to its more or less circular 5.5-inch wide base. It positions a tablet well for desktop use in tandem with the keyboard, though the stand may be too big and bulky for many people who want to pack it for travel. As a desktop stand for light use, it's a very handy platform. For more detailed use in email, reviews, or online shopping, it doesn't tilt back far enough for up-close usage. Bottom line, the Amzer Stando tablet stand may not be as universal as its name suggests, but in several circumstances, it's an excellent choice. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. Yes, about this time next hour, just want to give everyone a heads up again that yes, we'll be giving away that great prize from Logitech. So yeah, stay tuned for that. It might just be you. But right now, we're talking to Morgan Wright. He is, probably one of the coolest cybersecurity experts, I'll say. Charles Sandell, no offense. That we know. And hey, Charles actually does a lot of stuff for the government as well, doesn't he?
Yeah. He's a gray hat.
Yeah.
So
no, he's white by now. Yeah, I think he's a white hat hacker. Anyways, no, but we're going over cybersecurity and how particularly you can keep yourself safe, because we were just talking about, Craig has received them. We have people in the chat room talking about how they have scammers trying to pose as the local the county sheriff's office, saying, hey, we have a warrant for your arrest. Like it seems like these hackers are trying to play up like the scare knee-jerk reaction in people to get them to hurriedly put in their information.
Yeah, it's called creating that sense of urgency. They want to put fear, uncertainty, and doubt into you, make you doubt the outcome. If you don't, look, the FBI does not have you pay a fine because they say you've been viewing pornography and all sorts of other bad things online and say you have to pay a fine or we're not going to release your computer. That doesn't happen. So, but while we're in break, it just hit me. We were talking about what's one of the best tips too. Guys, one of the things I just wanted to make clear too is whether you're at work or at home, people can actually be the first line of defense in their companies, even if they work inside the government. The biggest way many of the intrusions happen, and you guys were just hitting upon it, it's that curiosity, it's that link, it's spear phishing. And for folks who don't know what spear phishing is, phishing is just when you're throwing it out there, hope anybody clicks on it. But spear phishing is an email that's crafted that appeals to you, Ben. It might be, I might know what your favorite hobby is. This is why we collect all this information, so that I can send you an email. Inside that PDF document that says, hey, here's the latest, greatest report on whatever it is the malware. And that malware is what allows us entry, the first toehold into a system. And believe it or not, it's just something as simple as that allows people like North Korea or Iran or Russia, China, a lot of our adversaries in cyberspace to penetrate our systems. So much of this starts with email. So the biggest tip I could give people, email may have been around for years. You may think it's gone away. It hasn't. We know from a marketing standpoint, it's still very popular. It's one of the most popular tools for committing intrusions, because they get you to click that link, deliver the malware, and then the bad things start from there.
We've heard story after story about actually from Charles Sandell. He's kind of our correspondent, and he does penetration testing. And no matter how sophisticated you can get the antivirus, no matter how well you think you train your employees, the weakest point in technology nowadays is the person sitting behind the screen, because he's gotten into like he's given seminars on how to not compromise your business's data, and then he'll drop a USB stick out out next to the front door. Someone will walk by, pick it up, take it into work, and plug it in and see what's on it. And there you go. And you just let the hacker in. Like it's so easy, because technology may be perfect and advanced, but people are not perfect.
Well, Ben, you hit upon tip number 9 of the don'ts. The vacation guide that I created, your summer vacation guide to identity security.
Don't plug in a flash
if
drive.
people want to download it, you guys have the link, I believe. Yeah, that's tip number 9. Don't plug anything into your computer that's given to you that you find. Flash drives, CDs, DVDs. Exactly for that. You wouldn't believe how easy it is to get. I don't know if you guys saw, Jimmy Kimmel just did a thing right after the State of the Union here back in January, but he was offering chocolate, and if people would give him their password, and people are on camera. giving Jimmy Kimmel their passwords in exchange for chocolate. It's unbelievable.
Well, because they figured out Jimmy Kimmel, nothing's going to happen, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just between you and 3 million of your closest friends. They're watching it now.
Why would Jimmy Kimmel even do that, to show how open we are, to this type of thing? What was his purpose behind doing that?
Well, it was right after the State of the Union, where the president talked about the need for more cybersecurity. We've got to become more safe. We want to pass these laws. And then he turned right around. To your point, Ben, too, it's just as easy as, asking people. When I used to teach behavioral analysis, you're absolutely right. There's 3 types of wares: hardware, software, and wetware. And the easiest thing to compromise is the carbon-based life form behind the keyboard. If when in doubt, pick up the phone. You can use social engineering. I just heard Kevin Mitnick speak at a conference here just recently. Kevin was an he was a good hacker, good technical skills, but what he was better at was social engineering.
Exactly.
If I had to pick one or the other to be good at, I'd pick social engineering every day of the week.
Because it's the easiest, and you don't without having to be a super technician to do that. Yeah, Kevin was like the we've actually had him on the show and interviewed him a couple of times in the past, and but yeah, his expertise was the social engineering. I don't know if he coined that phrase or if he or he kind of created it, but he was a master at it. Still is. Are children a target for identity thieves, and if so, why?
You bet they are, and the younger they are from a identity theft standpoint, the better for a lot of folks, because they have no credit history, and no credit history is better than a bad credit history. And most parents don't check their child's social security number to see if there's been any activity on it. One of my good friends I used to work with at Cisco, I used to run their public safety, homeland security, global solutions. Him and I worked together. Their son found out that he was getting ready to go to college, filled out the FAFSA, the financial aid application, found out he'd been trading stocks for 2 years. One of the folks in my local chamber of commerce, their son got one of the data breach letters from Primera, which is Washington and Alaska. They've never lived in Washington and Alaska, and they're saying, how did my son's information get from Virginia all the way out to Washington? So kids are a big target because it can go undiscovered for 3 to 4 years before you apply for something, get financial aid, or get a credit card, or get a driver's license. And then all of a sudden, here's this activity: home loans, home line of equities, payday loans, all sorts of things.
Wow. It used to be, if they got your social security number, that was everything. They had it. And I remember when the Social Security Agency first went online, and you could just go out and find your Social Security number. They had it, and they yanked that real fast.
Just a huge list. It's like, Control F.
When they realized what was at stake. But it was one of the more innocent days, I guess, of Social Security. But so when I am asked by people whom I interact with, like go to the doctor's office or the dentist, or and they ask for my Social Security number, do I not have to give them that there? I mean,
they're going to try and tell you you have to, and I've had this discussion, and you have to stand your ground. You say, no, you don't get my Social Security number. You have to show me a valid legal reason that says you get to collect my Social Security number, because quite frankly, with the state of cybersecurity and healthcare, I wouldn't trust them with their own Social Security number. And so the only time somebody really needs your Social Security number is if you're doing work, you're going to get paid. If a government agency on a government form tells you they need it, this is why they need it, and it tells you basically the law that says they need to collect it, you'd be surprised if you just stand your ground and push back a couple times. Most of the time, Craig, the Social Security number is just a substitute for a customer number or a patient number, because many of these systems, they just don't want to deal with it. It's easier to identify you with the Social Security number.
Well, if I walk into my doctor's office and our doctor's office, and they I haven't seen them in a while, and they make me fill that form, and I leave it blank, they're going to say, "Oh, you left out your Social Security." Well, why do you need it? Well, we need it to collect, insurance. We need to get your insurance. You're insured. Is that a legitimate reason? What if they throw that out at me?
I'm not going to be an expert at all the insurance companies. I'll tell you the ones that I dealt with. But it's like I told them, said, no, you don't need it. It wasn't required for me to get services. It's not required for you to deliver services. You need to be able to identify me. And again, I just go back to, there may be a legitimate reason, so I don't want to never say never. That always gets people in trouble when you talk in absolutes. But I always say, you have to show me the legal reason that says you can collect my Social Security number. Then I want to know how you use it and how you protect it. And it may seem like that's kind of harsh, and people say, oh, you don't really do that. Folks, I'm telling you, if you see what it takes to just change your Social Security number, you got a better chance of seeing God, as we were talking about earlier. This is, for me, when I was a detective, the thing that was the biggest invasion of privacy for people, it wasn't the minor thefts like get into your car. I mean, that was a nuisance. But when you broke into somebody's home, you invaded their sense of privacy. It was a game changer for many people. I worked many residential burglaries where the people ended up having to move because they didn't feel safe anymore. Now take that feeling, multiply it times 10, and an identity theft, even the government did their own survey, the National Crime Victimization Survey. 36% of the victims said they suffered moderate to severe stress as a result of the identity theft. So, you can stand your ground and and take an extra couple minutes to either make sure they don't need it, or if they do, that they show you the legal reason how they protect it. Or the FTC says it can take 400 to 600 hours for the average consumer on their own to get their identity back to the way it was before it was stolen. I opt for the former, not the latter, to say, look, I'll stand my ground until you tell me, because I don't want to deal with the pain and the anguish and the stress of trying to deal with it all later.
Well, but what if they play hardball? I'm in a doctor's office, and the doctor says, well, we're not going to give you services until you give us our Social Security number, because we need it for your insurance, or we need it for this. And if you don't give it, then you're going to pay us cash.
I think at this point, they're going to realize that there is a workaround, that just like Morgan said, they just want a patient number. They want some way to identify you. They want, maybe your insurance number. Like, they just want some way to identify you. And that doesn't have to be your Social Security number. It's just easiest for that to be.
Well, you tell that to the office manager, and she's going to do what she's going to do.
And the results may vary.
Huh?
Yeah, it's not a perfect world. And look, this is difficult for people because they're just used to saying it's a form, fill it out. I tell you what, I've had medical treatment. I've got my stuff done. I haven't given them my Social Security number in over 10 years.
When was the last time?
I just say, you don't need it.
When was the last? I mean, so you were at a hospital or something, and you don't give it to?
No, I just went into the doctor's office. Yeah, I went into the doctor's office for treatment. I mean, actually, I ended up having to visit the hospital, get some X-ray stuff done, but I don't give it to them. I just say, guys, I'm sorry, you don't need it. Don't take this wrong, but unless you can show me the law that says I have to give it to you, then you don't get it.
You know what? I'm going to try. I'm going to try this, and I'm going to let you know, and then I'm going to let you know what the result was. I'm going to say Morgan Wright said.
Don't try this at home, kids.
Yeah, Morgan Wright said that you don't need my Social Security number. But I'm going to play hardball.
But you can say, though, at the same time, that cyber terrorists, all these threats, they want the easiest fish. Like, they want the easiest credit card numbers. They want the easiest information. They don't want to work for it, because if you make them work for it, that's wasting their time that they can go and take other, easier information. So doing simple things like this, just being a little bit persistent, being resistant to throwing everything out, that could be the difference between them targeting you and them targeting, someone else.
It's called displacement. In other words, a lot of times you get rid of gangs by making it tough to be in their area. You displace them to somewhere else. You displace yourself as a victim because you harden the target. You become a digitally hardened target. You make it more difficult to get your information. And then you're actually keying in on something that I had a chat with one of the assistant attorney generals for the U.S. He was speaking at a conference, and he actually said something I totally agreed with, which is, when you can make the price of admission, the price of an intrusion so high that it becomes prohibitive, then you start eliminating a lot of the cybercrime. But until we get these good defenses in place, as long as it's easy to do, they will keep doing it. Back in the 1920s, there was that old bank robber, Willie Sutton. They say, Willie, why do you rob banks? Because he said, because that's where the money is.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what people will keep doing as long as it's easy to do. So make the price, make it too tough, make them pay a penalty in time and money and logistics, and they will either move on or you'll start putting them out of business.
You know, I'm trying to think of where else. I mean, you mentioned doctor's office. Obviously, if I get my car fixed, the mechanic doesn't need my social security number. But let's say I open up a bank. I go to a banking account. I open up a bank account. They're going to ask me for my social security number there.
And you're going to have to give it under the Patriot Act and under the laws and all of the anti-terrorism laws about money laundering and everything else. Yeah, you have to give. You know, that's one you're definitely not going to win, because they actually take your name and check your name and social security number on these lists to make sure that you're not prohibited from conducting transactions, or you're prohibited from having a banking account. So yeah, the banks and stuff, there's valid reasons there, because you are dealing with money and currency transactions and financial reporting. But hey, look, when you go into your eye doctor, they don't need your social security number, you know. But now, if with my corporate clients, I actually have a LLC, so I give them my FEIN number, my federal employer identification number. I could give them my social security number, either one. When you're a one-man LLC, you can do that, but I give them it the other way, because if that get compromised, I can get a new FEIN just by going to the IRS website, you know, telling them here's what happened. But I can't do that with the social security number.
You can't the social security number is your number for life, right? There's no way to change that unless you're in the federal witness protection program or something. I don't think you can change it.
There are some very extreme circumstances where you can change that. Now, there is some talk. I saw a discussion around some legislation that will propose that for children, at least up to a certain age, if something happens to them, it's like automatic. You can change it because they haven't started developing that history yet. So if they become the victim of identity theft, I think it's up to age 16 or something, you might be able to do it. But yeah, you're right. As an adult, the sound you hear when you call them and say you want to know social security number, will them be laughing and falling over backwards in their chair. Well, yeah. Nice try. It's just not going to happen. Except, like you say, if you're in witness protection, last thing you want is your old social security number following you around.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that they are actually trying to take steps to help people who, and we've heard everything on the show, but sometimes it's the parent, sometimes it's some form of relative, sometimes it's just someone who stole their information. But when kids are when their information compromised, they're not going to know it for 10 years, and they're 10 years, 8 years, whatever, and it's so hard to do it, and then their life is put on hold for something that they had no way of preventing, knowing about. You never even think about it. And I'm glad that they're actually working on ways to help those people, because we've heard some pretty bad stories.
Oh yeah, and Ben, and that's what again. This is the service I use. It's called ID Shield. It's from Kroll. You can get it from a lot of other identity theft providers. But my youngest is 26 now, so I don't have to worry about it. But they do have, a lot of these companies have family plans, provisions where you will, if your child has a social security number, you put it in there. It monitors that along with your social security number. So if anything changes on there, you can get notification. So a lot of these companies are offering that as a service. And if nothing else, I'm telling you folks, doesn't matter what something is better than nothing. There's an old joke that said, what's the best time to plant a tree 20 years ago? What's the next best time right now?
Yep.
Right now is the best time to get identity theft. If you wait until the government or some company gives it to you after the fact, then your information is out there. You're reacting as opposed to responding. If you have something in place, that's why you have you can't go out and get auto insurance after you have an accident. You can't go out and get house insurance after it burns down. Dave Ramsey, who, if people haven't heard of him, he's one of the big financial gurus, like number 3 radio show and one of the top podcasts. Item number 6 on his list of 7 types of insurance is identity theft insurance. In this day and age, that's you got to have that now. Everybody's got a smartphone. They have to have it now. Well, you better have identity theft protection, and that will help protect your kids so that you catch it early, you catch it often, and that you protect your kids. Because the last thing I'd want to do is have some kid inherit a bankruptcy or a home equity loan that's not in their name and spend their first year trying to go to college instead dealing with trying to unravel what's happened.
Okay. All right. So we've listed all the places that. So you're right. I was thinking about what you're saying with banks. I mean, obviously, they're dealing with your financial records. That you give a lot of legitimate reasons. Doctors, no. Mechanic, no. Any other place that we go on a regular basis that may need that social security number or.
Yeah, if you're applying for a job, at some point they're going to ask you for that. You don't necessarily have to give it up front. Some people do because part of the background employment check is checking your credit history, seeing, especially if you're in a position of public trust. So if you're applying for a job, you can probably expect, because obviously they're going to pay you a wage and they're going to have your social security number at that point. But the biggest thing people can do is just ask questions. When they say, when you see that thing for social security number, don't fill it out, hand it back to them. And when they say you didn't fill this out, you say, well, why do I need to?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just simply ask. Just be nice about it. Why do you need my social security number? Well, it's just easier for us. The minute you hear it's just easier for us, never ever give it to them. You say, just say, look, all I need to know is there a legal reason that says you need to collect my social security number? And no, actually, that's one of the things I'm working on for a next ebook is really starting to do the research and pull down, with 50 states, there's 50 different laws. You got federal law, but just trying to figure out exactly what you're talking about, Craig, is that what are the real myths around this? When do I have to give it? And when do I absolutely not have to give it? And what can I as a consumer do when somebody asks for it and I say no? Can they deny me service, at a medical office? I don't think I'd want to do that. I mean, you'll always find if I've got insurance, they don't need any more information. Here's my insurance card. My social security number is not on there. It's a group number. Just take it. That's all you need. Yeah,
exactly. All right. So all good things for us to be aware of. And what about my mobile device? Are there anything I can do to protect myself using with my mobile device? I mean, am I in danger there lurking?
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. I mean, make sure, again, password protect that mobile device. I use, with the iPhones and it's Androids have the features too. The phones have, it's the, Find Me. In case you lose your phone, you can track it down. If you can't track it down, you can turn it into a brick. Make sure that nobody else. This happened to me in Malaysia. I literally turned around for 5 seconds to get my itinerary out to tell the taxi where to take me. I left my phone on the counter. I turned around, it was gone. Was able to track it down. But the police wouldn't go in and get it, so I wiped it. So I was just at the Home Depot today, and there's a guy in the customer service, an elderly gentleman saying, I lost my phone here, and it's good. Can you check with your lost and found? I felt like saying to him, I said, use Find My iPhone or wipe your for something. Right.
I didn't want to get, I felt like it, but I didn't say it. Should I have said something to him? You think? No.
You can always be nice. Hey, one other quick thing a lot of people don't realize too, besides the fact that Bluetooth drains your battery when you don't need it, if you don't need Bluetooth, turn it off. If you don't need your wireless, especially when you go on vacation, if you travel international, if you don't need it, shut it off. It's not that it's a big threat right now, but it is a up and coming threat because that's one of the easiest ways to inject malware into mobile devices. So, just be aware of those things. And, and if you're traveling, keep that phone with you. Don't let it out of your sight. And I'll tell you another big scam that happens. Do not let somebody else, you'll get people say, hey, can I use your phone? I just need to call a friend. Gosh, I'd like to, but I don't know your friend. I don't know you. And it's not that I don't trust you. It's that I don't know you. And because now you heard what happened with the iPhone, right? You've got the text of death where it can actually, shut the phone down just through a simple SMS message. So there's ways to introduce malware through just a simple SMS text message. So, and the sad part about it is I grew up in Kansas. I'm a farm boy from the Midwest. You always want to be nice to everybody. And it's so hard anymore with all of these different threats out there to say, I'd like to be nice, man, but it's just like if I was in Kansas 25 years ago, 30 years ago, somebody came to my door and said, hey, can I get a glass of water? Sure, come in. Not anymore. I'm sorry. Just, I live in a nice area, low crime. It's, nice neighborhood. But even then, if I have a stranger in the neighborhood, just not doing it. It's unfortunate it's got that way, but that's the culture. That's the technology. The threats are changing, and the threats are indiscriminate. They don't care who they target, 90 to 9. It doesn't matter. If you've got a mobile device, a tablet, you're getting targeted. Trust me, 1 out of every 20 people is going to be a victim of identity theft this year. Devices are being targeted, so that threat landscape is getting bigger. But the good news is, if people just take a few simple steps that we talked about, you can make yourself a tough target, Ben, like you were talking about. Make sure, don't be the low-hanging fruit. Be the tougher fruit you really got to work for. Don't be the easy victim, and don't be a victim. Do some things, fight back.
Well, Morgan, we're pretty much
really honestly. I wish we had 2 hours.
Yeah, I do, and I'm sure. Hopefully, we can get you back again sometime, and
anytime.
Whenever the next big, security hack happens, maybe a week.
Exactly.
Just wait next week. I predict, Carnex says in the next 10 days there'll be another hack reported in the news.
Morgan, thank you so much for being with us here on Computer America. Again, if you go to our website at computeramerica.com, we have a link to Morgan's website, which is Morgan Wright, WRIGHT.us. But we have the link right there, so you can see and go to his website if you want to get more information about what Morgan does. Again, Morgan, thanks so much for being with us here tonight at Computer America.
Hey, no, Craig and Ben, I appreciate you guys having me on, and good luck with you guys. Long-running show. Always happy to see that, and good luck to you guys.
All right, thanks. Take care. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night, guys.
All right, there he goes. Okay, Morgan Wright. Again, from city cop to
nice fellow.
Yeah, nice fellow. And
now when I see him on television, I'll say, "Oh yeah, I like that guy."
We should introduce him to Charles Tendell.
I'm sure. Well, see, that's kind of unfair because
we can have a panel.
Charles Tendell, and now we know Morgan Wright, but that's like going up to a mechanic. It's like, hey, I had a mechanic down in South Florida, and I know you're in Texas, but do you two know each other? Like, it's a huge field.
It is. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we've got in the next hour, we're going to kind of switch gears, and we're going to talk to the CEO and chief inventor of Ring. James Siminoff is going to be here with us. He's standing by. We're going to talk about the Ring video doorbell.
So that's kind of like security night. It's cybersecurity, and then how to secure your home.
That's right. And, of course, we'll have another News Tips Bulletin review from Marty Winston, and also our social media winner of the week. That's all coming up in hour 2 of the Computer America Show. Stand by.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computer. This is the Computer America Show. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And, look who just showed up in the chat room. Morgan is there. Yep. So again,
yes, our chat room is open to everyone, guests, listeners, and whoever feels free to stop by, please do.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just go to our website, go to our under the social media, not social media, excuse me, go to the show lounge. Yeah,
show lounge, that's it.
Show lounge, and then you'll see the option to go into the chat room, or just hover over show lounge. It'll give you the option for the full screen chat, and that you can have an opportunity to speak with Morgan. He's in there right now. And also, our show reminder, our social media winner of the week is coming up in about a half an hour. And again, if you have a comment or question, give us a call at 347-884-8881. 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. So I thought that was very illuminating. I had never thought about the fact going into my doctor's office and they said it's like,
yeah, you were caught up on that whole Social Security number thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was trying to think of where else do I get asked for my Social Security number. Would you like for you to have the specials of the day, sir? They're wonderful, but we need your Social Security number. Restaurants. No, I'm not going to ask for it. What are the places that ask?
I think in one of the things, and I don't want to go over the last guest so much that we kind of put off our next hour guest. But one of the things is we don't really use our social security number every day. So when someone asks for it, you think automatically, oh, they must have a pretty good reason. Like you don't really question it because it's so rare, and you just assume that they have a good one.
Well,
which is what I think.
Yeah. If you make out a check to somebody, then they want your social security number. No, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Anyhow, you can listen to that again. We archive all of our shows at computeramerica.com. And if you missed any portion of it, you can listen to it again on our website. Okay. Well, that said, I want to go to our next hour guest. This is a very cool little device. I don't know why we didn't think of it before. I mean, we just recently put a peephole in our door, but this goes so much further.
It's just like putting a GPS chip in your pets. Like, the technology's been around forever, and you had all the pieces, but the first person to put them all together, wins the prize.
Yeah.
And this one, you have all the technology, but Ring.com has put it all together.
Yeah. And the Ring video doorbell lets you answer the door from anywhere. In other words, you don't have to be at home. Somebody rings, Avon calling, ding dong. I realize you're too young to remember that. But anyway,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, exactly. Yeah. The post delivery, whatever. Who's ever at your front door, you don't have to be home to know someone's ringing your doorbell with this device. It actually features a high definition camera with night vision, which is cool. Providing, especially if someone's ringing your doorbell at night, you really want to know who it is. Providing a clear view from your front door at any time of the day or night. The Ring doorbell installs easily in minutes with no professional help or additional tools required. I guess it's pretty much like a regular doorbell. A built-in rechargeable battery lets you install the doorbell anywhere, or you can connect it to an existing doorbell wiring. I guess where if you already have a doorbell, then you don't have to worry about power. It gets it from that, evidently. Motion triggered alerts sent via the free Ring app, both iOS and Android, notify you of arriving guests and deliveries even. Cloud recording ensures you'll never miss any activity at your home. With Ring, you're always at home. I like that. Joining us tonight is James Siminoff. He is the CEO and chief inventor. Jamie, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
This is a very cool little thing. I mean, how did you come up with this?
So I actually was working in my garage, had a little sort of lab incubator, and was building stuff, and was literally missing the door for packages and all sorts of things, and so started to look for. I just wanted to buy a Wi-Fi doorbell, kind of like how you were saying. It's like why didn't this just exist? And so I thought it did exist, and so I looked for it. It didn't exist, and so I started kind of hacking and building one. And 3 years later, we have 70,000 doorbells out in the market, and real business.
Look, we've been doing this show for almost 25 years now, and I wish I had a nickel for every time that I heard someone say. I always say, "Well, how did you come up with this idea?" And inevitably it was, "Well, I wanted to do it, and it wasn't out there." and
I had a need, and I filled it.
And I filled it, exactly. I mean, that's the stuff of how a lot of these things just come about. You kept hearing the doorbell ring. You didn't know who it was. You're in the garage. You wanted to find out, and you looked. You couldn't find it, and said, "Okay, well, I'm going to make it myself." And that's basically how the Ring video doorbell was born. Okay.
That's simple, yeah.
Yeah. 3 years later, and a whole bunch of doorbells later. Tell us a little bit about. You heard me describe it. Why don't you, as the inventor, creator, tell our listeners exactly what the Ring video doorbell is?
I mean, I think you definitely gave a pretty in-depth one, but I always just tell people, it's a smart doorbell that allows you to see and speak to visitors from anywhere using your phones or your tablets.
So not only can you see who's at your door, you can actually speak to them, and they have no idea that you may not be at home. In other words, you're at your office or something. You're at work. Your doorbell rings. You see who it is, and you say, "Yes, hello. Can I help you?" And
that's a real key, not just for the sort of convenience of being able to tell someone that you're, leave the package, I'm in the back or whatever, but there's over 1 million daytime burglaries a year in the U.S. alone. And those are when people are not in their houses. And so right now we actually prevent a substantial amount of burglaries every year, every day, where people are actually answering the door and where someone thinks that they're home.
really,
Yeah.
that is very, very. It's very interesting how that happens.
Yeah, and one thing that kind of goes along with that, and I'm sure we're going to talk about some, more of the actual features of the Ring doorbell. But is there a video screen for them to see, or are they just standing in front of this thing, kind of talking to it like a traditional intercom system, or can they see you?
No, they can't see you, so it's more like a traditional intercom.
Okay.
And then that's also obviously like it's kind of, I don't know if I'd want someone seeing me at my front door.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a traditional intercom. You have one-way video, which is you get to see them, and two-way audio.
Right, and you don't want them to see you. I mean, especially
like that was kind of the point, was that like you don't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm just back here, I'm home, and then like all around you is like it's like your cubicle with like your office chair, like
right.
Like you want to give off the air of I'm here.
Right, and
yeah, I'd like to think of it more like you're like in the Caribbean and there's like blue water around you. But yeah, I guess it's cubicle, whichever you're at.
Yeah, and it's just really a green screen behind me. All that blue water you're saying, exactly. No,
yeah.
I'm really home in the kitchen. Yeah, so it would dispel with the illusion of that you're being home. So obviously, all that you're ringing it, and the person hearing it just assumes that it's a speaker, that intercom speaker, and that the person is home. And
even if they know what it is, they still don't know whether or not you're. I don't, as the owner of the company, I don't know whether they're home or not in terms of if they say they're in the back room. As far as I know, they're in the back room because they could be.
Yeah, exactly. So we're talking about all the different things that makes the Ring video doorbell unique. Can you expand on that?
So, I mean, the other thing is it's really we started. This is a second generation product, and on this one, it's really a security camera with a doorbell. So it has extremely advanced motion detection that's fully programmable, so that you can really monitor your front yard using the motion detection. And then, in addition, you get the benefit of the doorbell as well. So it's really, this device is really maybe 80–90% security. And then the doorbell, that fun sort of convenience of having this sort of integrated Internet of Things kind of product, is the last little cherry on top.
Well, now let me ask you this, because most doorbells that I know of, including the ones that we have here, the doorbell really isn't on the door. The doorbell is actually in the frame of the door where the electrical wire, because I have a doorbell that has a little light in it, and it has actually some power. Sure. So if the thing is on the frame, how do I, and then the Ring video doorbell is one unit, how do I put that on my door and take advantage of the power that's in the frame, which is like
just rip down the front door and build the door around the ring. Easy.
It goes where it is a doorbell replacement. It goes where your doorbell is.
Okay.
It does not go on your door.
Oh, it does. Okay, so it goes where your doorbell is. So if the doorbell is to the side. Yep. And then I'm going to be and it's about the height of my navel. What I'm going to be. How do I see the person's face? I mean, how does that work?
There's actually a couple interesting. One is that we have a 180-degree wide-angle camera. So not only do you see who's at the door, but you also see the stuff that's going around the door, the side, the front yard, the whole thing. The other thing that happens is as soon as you start to talk to someone, the audio part, they look at the camera because they look at where the audio is coming from. If you can imagine staring at a door. If audio is coming from the down right side, you're not going to sort of, keep staring at the door. You're going to look at where the audio is coming from, and so that's a good way we get great face shots. And the doorbell itself is usually at 48 inches, so they're usually right about just below head height. They're actually not that low.
Yeah, okay. And it makes sense because like if you ever talk on like a speakerphone, you're not turning on speakerphone and then looking the other direction and be like, oh yeah, and like you're staring at the corner of your ceiling. No, you still look at the phone to talk to it.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those just kind of like it's like an instinctual way of doing it, and so the same thing happens. We see it all the time, and we've actually gotten some great criminals to give us really good face shots by talking right to the camera.
Really? Now, do the people know when they're seeing this that they're actually on camera, or they just think it's the doorbell?
With this unit, most people I do think know that there's a camera there. I mean, the camera's it's not. I wouldn't say it's hidden. I mean, it's not like loud at you, but it definitely you can see that there's a camera there. I think what they don't realize is that it's a camera that's recording. I think most people think an intercom is going to some sort of panel in the house, and that's not sort of lasting. I'm sure that most people have no idea that the motion detection is working, where they're actually getting picked up as soon as they walk onto the property, if that's how the homeowner has set it up.
Now, this motion detector, I mean, is it going to, if I got the paper boy driving by and tosses a paper, is it going to set off the motion detector? I mean, how sensitive and accurate is the motion detector?
Well, it's as sensitive and accurate as you want it. So you can do both distance and also direction. So you can sort of, if you have a sidewalk on the right side of your house that you don't really want to see all the people walking there, you can just take that out. And then you can also set the distance. So you can see people, 6 feet, 15 feet, 30 feet, where, and it basically is up to 30 feet is where our motion detection goes to.
Very cool. Now, I assume that there is no limit to the range of this, because it somehow interfaces with the internet. I mean, let's say because let's say I'm miles away, in my office, in my home. How do I get this to interface with the internet if it's outside at my door?
So we use Wi-Fi.
Okay.
And there's some people's houses where the Wi-Fi is pretty far from the door, and they'll have to do a repeater or something. But it's actually pretty rare. Mm-hmm. It's kind of amazing how Wi-Fi has become this ubiquitous product that you really need to have around the entire house.
Yeah.
And so it's really has not been an issue for us.
So okay, so it's hooked. It connects via Wi-Fi. I know I can get Wi-Fi outside of our house. We have to worry about war drivers. Picking up the. That's where we have to secure it and everything. So it's interfaced to Wi-Fi, and then
yes, that's why we have the moat.
Exactly, the moat. You promised me you wouldn't tell them about the moat. So
it's the first thing you see. You have to let down the drawbridge. Just get whatever.
I know, this is very cool. So, all right. So basically, they come up, they ring the doorbell. Now, do I hear something inside the house going ding dong, or does my iPhone?
Or is it purely a phone app?
Yeah. What is it? What happens when they hit the doorbell?
So you touched on it earlier when you were describing the product. So the product is dual powered. So it's if you have the wires for your doorbell, then we will both trickle charge off of it, as well as ding the bell inside when someone hits the bell. Now, the problem is that if everyone had those wires, we wouldn't have to put such a big battery in. But about 50% of people no longer have those working wires on the front door. Oh. So about half of our deployments are actually battery operated. And you just recharge the unit after anywhere from 6 months to a year, depending on usage, and then put it back on there. So it's just like a cell phone. In those, the only thing that would ring is your iPad or iPhone. But we did just come out with a indoor chime, which is a Wi-Fi chime that you can put anywhere in the house, that will ding, and it will both ding when someone dings your ring, as well as we'll do a different sound for motion if there's motion in the front yard.
Now, since it's Wi-Fi, or can I, let's say at nighttime, turn it off? If I only want the doorbell to ring certain hours a day, and let's say at night I don't want to,
absolutely,
because the dogs, go crazy when they hear a doorbell. And so, can I set it up or some sort of schedule to with this?
Absolutely, and even more than that is the kids. People that have young babies. What happens is, someone rings the doorbell, baby wakes up. New mom or dad is pretty upset about not being able to get back to sleep. So yeah, it's a great, when you have something that's on the internet like that, you can obviously control all sorts of stuff, when it turns on, when it turns off, what it does, what it sounds like, all those things. So all those things are adjustable.
Jamie, I think you need to send us one of these things so we can get hands-on and test this out.
Happy to do that. You'd love it.
Yeah, absolutely want to give it a try. I think this is something that and do a follow-up with this. This is very, very cool. So now, what about homes that have existing alarm systems, that have an ADT system or whatever it might be? Is there a way? Have you thought of interfacing with existing alarms, or is that really not necessary?
I don't think it's necessary. I think there's some interesting stuff about it. We've definitely talked to some of those companies about it. We haven't announced anything yet. I think there's some interesting stuff, but really, if you look at what we're doing, it's really a different thing. We're actually interacting on we call it the pre-crime side. So we believe that we're actually able to enter into the security of your home from a pre-crime before something happens, versus like an alarm system is someone's already in your house. They've broken through that barrier, and then the alarm goes off and tells you someone's in your house. And so our whole company and mission and everything is around sort of the pre-crime side. In fact, our company mission is actually to reduce crime in communities, which we think is the way to actually attack it, not just by tripping something once someone's in the house and has already violated your personal space.
See, you're really in the middle of this. I mean, coming up with the concept of pre-crime. Why do I think of Minority Report when you say that?
Because that's what it's from.
Exactly. So you're there basically before a crime happens, and possibly to thwart that crime before. As you're right, you make a very good point. The home alarm systems go off after the person has entered in the home or has broken a window or something. You're extremely correct with that. So that is very interesting. Now, so if you have a wired doorbell, all you need to do is, because for example, the wired doorbells, usually you can tell because there's a little light in the doorbell. So if you have that, that's all you need to connect Ring to. You have a way of connecting the Ring doorbell up to those wires.
Correct, and then you'll never need to charge it again. So then it's done, and then it will ding, the bell inside when someone hits it. Okay. If you don't have that, then that's where you have to, you might want to get an indoor chime, which we sell, or something like that.
Okay, so but is the battery still necessary? Let's say you have a power outage, and someone rings the doorbell, then you would still need the battery, would you not?
The only thing with the power outage is usually your internet goes down as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just thinking that there's a lot of problems there. Oh. And the battery operated unit, that one, so it just kind of slips onto the wall on a nice sleeve, and anyone who's kind of walking by can just kind of pick it up and take it away. Like, how do you secure it to the wall to make sure someone doesn't
That's the funny thing that happened. So it's like once people understand what it is, they say, well, someone could steal it. So there's two ways of looking at that. One is, well, most people, especially thieves, are not going to know what it is, so they're not going to know that it's like a separate unit from something. It looks like it's part of a bigger system, and so most people wouldn't just people don't just come and rip like the lights off your house typically. But we did hear this from a lot of customers, and so if your Ring is ever stolen, we will replace it free of charge.
Wow. Okay. Now,
and in the history of the company, of tens of thousands of units in the field, we've had 2 reports of stolen units. One, I'm pretty sure, was a guy who wanted a unit. The other one actually was a stolen unit, I think.
Oh man!
So it's one unit. In other words, the one unit will hook up to the power. It also has the battery built in. It's the same unit.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. So and then you get a choice of colors. I see you have satin nickel and some of the polished brass, Venetian bronze, and the antique brass. So you have a variety of colors for this thing. So let's talk a little bit about the cloud recording now, because these are some of the features that you have built into this device. So how does cloud recording get involved with this?
So cloud recording, again, is going more to that surveillance camera versus a doorbell. So, being able to see and go back with who was there. And it is very interesting. I mean, a lot of people said to me when I was creating this, they said, why would you do this? No one ever comes to my door during the day. And I said, are you home all day? And they said, no. I said, okay. And then, when everyone gets one, they always say, I can't believe how many people come to my door. And so it's nice to be able to go back if you're, in a meeting or something and someone comes and rings your doorbell, to be able to go back and actually see, who is there. It's just kind of interesting. Sometimes it's interesting, and sometimes it's good to know.
Yeah, I would think so. That now, does the Ring itself light up something? Like if you is there like a little indicator on it so people can see it at nighttime?
Sure. So if you have a powered, if you have the battery, then yes, it will. If you don't have the battery, we're basically usually replacing another wireless chime, which will be one of those little plastic buttons. Yeah. Those obviously don't have any light on them, and we're unable to power because we would just kill our battery. So if you do have the powered doorbell, so if you're used to that white little glowing light, you'll have it with the Ring as well.
Okay, so basically it's two pieces. It's the Ring doorbell and the chime unit. They're two separately.
The optional chime, yeah.
The optional chime. So okay. So
But there is a nice, big, friendly, round push button. So even if there is not a light there, I think people are still going to get the message. Hey, push the button. Someone will come.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the good news is in the situations where you don't have where it's a battery operated unit, we're replacing something that also did not have a light, because there's no way to have a light if you have a battery operated button. So
No, I would think so. So okay, so the cloud recording. How much do you have recording, and how does that all activate? How do you do that?
So it's optional. If you buy the unit, it will work. You'll be able to see who's at the door and all that stuff. If you want to have the recording, it's $3 a month or $30 a year, and that stores it for 6 months.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty straightforward.
We try.
Yeah, exactly. And how much of storage do they get on that?
So it's 6 months of 6 months of footage.
Okay, and how much? I mean, do I get to watch that? How do I call that up after I've recorded it? How do you activate all that?
Yeah, so you have basically a listing of all of the dates and the times and of each recording, and so you get to just watch. You just like basically scroll through and see them.
Okay, it's pretty straightforward.
If you wanted to kind of back those up on your own, or could you have it sent to the cloud as well as to your own computer?
So right now we don't have that, and we've kind of thought about it. One of the biggest problems is, in order to do what we're doing, we've had to actually build like a custom video protocol, because security cameras, if you take like an off-the-shelf security camera, it actually buffers like 3 to even 10 seconds in order to get like a perfect sort of quality stream. With us, we can't buffer that long, because it would be really weird if we were at a 3-second delay in talking to each other. And so we've had to create some very special video codecs in order to do this, and those are non-standard. So it's very hard to record it. So it's not something you could just like dump onto like a drive at your house. And so we've tried to sort of figure that out. And the problem has been, it's just that by being non-standard, that's what it causes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, now you get when you buy the unit, you actually get a free 30-day trial of the unit.
Yes.
Okay.
So of the cloud recording.
Of the cloud recording, right now, but you can certainly productively use the Ring unit and the chime without having to use the cloud recording.
Absolutely, and some of our customers, are happy with that, and others obviously want to have the extra, and so that's and I think that's a pretty common thing. I mean, or it is definitely a common thing on a lot of security cameras, is you have that, it works live, you can access it and everything else, and then if you want to keep the recording, you pay additional for the storage. Yeah,
exactly. So you can try for 30 days and you just continue on using it without it. And the unit is available now. The pricing for the Ring video doorbell, regardless of the color, is what, $199?
$199 at ring.com.
Right, and the optional
also, kudos on getting the domain name ring.com.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to slip that in there.
And the optional doorbell chime as well goes for how much?
So with purchase of the doorbell, which is right now really the only way it will work, is it's $19.
Okay.
$19.99. Sorry.
Excellent. All right. And then can you put additional doorbells around the chimes around someplace else, or does it just work with the one bell?
You can do both, and so a lot of customers now are buying a second doorbell, a second ring for their back door, more for the security side of the motion detection than the actual someone hitting the button. And so you can have multiple rings and you can have multiple chimes.
Wow, very, very cool. This is a very, very. Did you saw the Internet of Things coming out and you kind of anticipated this? What do you predict for the Internet of Things category?
So, when we started this, I started it in my garage as a way to talk to people. We did quickly realize, though, that it was more meaningful of a product than just being a fun doorbell. And that was kind of by playing with it, we realized that this was more than just, this was more than just putting a Wi-Fi chip into something. And I think that's the key to the Internet of Things category. I think when you take the whole category, what products are transformed by having, let's call it a Wi-Fi chip in it, and I just mean that the broad stroke, versus what products are just now accessible when you have a Wi-Fi chip. And so I think some products like ours, like we've transformed the doorbell into something that is stopping crime, doing doing things that no one I think would have ever thought about a doorbell. And I think that's where the Internet of Things is interesting. I think some things though, when you do this, they just become, a refrigerator that's online.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, I think you got a great product here. I've already sent you out an email with an editorial request for it, and we're to send it.
Okay.
We're gonna.
We'll get you one for sure.
Yeah, definitely gonna put that into it and do a follow up with this. But I think you have something that's very clever, and if it does what you say it does, and I don't see why it wouldn't. Definitely, you have something that I think is going to be very, very useful to homeowners everywhere. And again, the website is www.ring.com, or you can go to computeramerica.com. We have it right there on our homepage, and the link will stay up there. If you forget, you can do it and get one for yourself. Jamie, listen, thanks for being with us here tonight. Very, very interesting product, and best of luck to you with it.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
All right, you take care. Have a good evening. Good night.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye. All right, and there he goes. Okay, again, James Siminoff. It's called the Ring Video Doorbell, and check it out.
Again, the pieces, they're all there. Anyone could have done this, but to put it in such a small form factor, and let's face it, it looks good. I mean, he didn't just slap a webcam on a doorbell. It looks good. It's packaged well, but at the same time, why wasn't this around when he first looked for it? It wasn't that complicated.
No, it wasn't. He put all the pieces together. All right. I understand we have some computer and technology news that we're going to be doing in the second hour.
Sure.
Hour, and we got some interesting stories. Also, when we come back, we're going to have our social media winner of the week. That's right. We're going to make that announcement. Some lucky person's going to be receiving that Logitech T650 glass wireless touchpad. Also, when we come back, the final News Tips Bulls review for this week from Marty Winston. We'll have 2 new ones next week. You're listening to the Computer America Show. We will be right back. Stay with us. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they are available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing. Nothing be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
And thank you, boys. It's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bullet Review for Computer America. This time, the Anova Precision Sous Vide Cooker. You or your significant other may have heard of sous vide cooking, but so many people think it's just another kind of crock pot. Well, that's a crock, and we'll tell it our way. In the sous vide pot, the only thing you cook is water. It's the water that cooks the food, and the water never touches the food. The food is in either a sealed plastic vacuum pouch, sous vide means in a vacuum, or you can carefully lower in a press-to-seal bag so the water forces the air out, and you seal the top to keep the water out. Either way, the trick is to carefully maintain the water temperature at precisely the end point appropriate to the food, like 170 degrees Fahrenheit for poultry or 150 for beef. So how do you maintain that precise a temperature and keep the water in the pot circulating? We got in the Anova Precision Cooker, a tall cylinder about half the size of a baseball bat that plugs in for power, clips to the side of the pot, and provides the heater and pump that lets sous vide cooking happen. As recipe, when you find one you like, a touch connects to the cooker over Bluetooth and sets the time and temperature, really just the temperature, automatically. A digital display atop the cooker shows the current and target temperatures and confirms Bluetooth pairing. Bottom line, the Anova Precision Cooker is a compact way of getting into the world of easy, perfect, essentially foolproof sous vide cooking. It's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bullet Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. Here, 34 minutes past the hour. In the second hour on a Friday, all that means, as we've said earlier in the show before, that we have a social media winner of the week that we're going to give away a nice prize of a Logitech Glass touchpad. So,
yes,
Craig,
we are.
Craig, I believe that you had a winner from Facebook picked out already.
That's correct. And that winner is Julie Cutshaw. Julie, you won. Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, the Logitech Wireless Rechargeable Touchpad T650, valued at $80. Congratulations to you, Julie. We'll get that out to you this coming week. You are our social media winner of the week. All right, terrific. So I believe we have time to do some computer news, and I think you'll lead off with the first story.
Sure.
And
let's
do that. Let's do that right now.
Let's do that.
Tonight's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system for free. That's right. Everything at slimwareutilities.com is completely free. Always will be free. Download them all. You'll be really happy that you did. You'll thank us for it. They truly do clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. slimwareutilities.com. Hit me with it, Ben.
I don't know what that turn of phrase means. No, this first story, it's kind of a two-parter where we're kind of showing some of the video on our video portion of the show of some of the highlights, I guess you could call these, of the DARPA humanized robotics competition. DARPA recently here had a competition that started today. It was the robotics challenge to make something that was so human-like that it would be indistinguishable from a person. It would have 2 arms, 2 legs, all that kind of stuff. But it should be able to do basic tasks like get in and out of a car, open a door, walk upstairs. Very basic things that we all take for granted every day. And this is the best of the best around the world, including people like Google, Yamaha, other people, I'm sure, Boston Dynamics. There are companies all over the world, big names that you've heard of, showing their best attempts at getting their robots to do all these things that, hey, let's face it, that even a 3-year-old can do. And in our video portion, we were kind of showing some of the highlights of them not exactly working in the slightest. Like they have to like walk through sand and things like that. They don't do it well.
No, they don't.
They don't do it well.
A lot of
And
a lot of robots falling down.
a lot of a lot of robots falling down, doing very basic things. And but this competition just started. There's going to be another one tomorrow. I believe I have their schedule up. So in case you wanted to tune in, they're going to have a live stream of the competition as it happens. They're going to have their finals competition all day. I'm sorry. They had that all day today.
Wow.
From 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. They had an expo out there, and then tomorrow they're I guess they're continuing on and finishing up the competition all day tomorrow. So if you want to tune in for that as well, you can go and watch the live feed that they're streaming to their website. And again, theroboticschallenge.org. It's cute, it's hilarious to watch, but at the same time, millions and millions and millions of dollars and a lot of people's hard work and sweat has gone into making these robots act as human as possible, to walk like we do, to open doors like we do, to walk upstairs. And this is, honestly, the closest that robots have ever been, and they're not that close. But one day, this is going to turn into a robot that's just going to be living right alongside us.
Yeah, very cool. It's kind of hysterical to watch them falling down. We should be a little bit more empathic, but still.
Yeah, well, again, it's just machines. They're shaped like humans, so we kind of want to say, "Oh, poor little guy, he fell down." But hey, it's just programming and metal and hardware, and it's okay to laugh at the robots. I think we're okay with that.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at the story, and I apologize because I got them kind of late here, and I'm kind of following it. This one here is from Tech Hive, and it's entitled "Batterizer is a $2.50 gadget that extends disposable battery life by 800%." Okay,
that's quite a bold claim.
Yeah. It says basically this is how it does. A completely new alkaline battery is rated to generate 1.5 volts, but once its output drops below 1.35 or even 1.4 volts, it effectively becomes useless to many devices. Okay, that's why they have these different versions of alkaline batteries that are even more. They're designed for electronic devices because they try to maintain that 1.5 for as long as it can, and then they do have a sudden drop off. So basically, they'll work for a longer period of time in electronic devices, and then basically die very, very quickly, as opposed to other batteries where devices that aren't as sensitive to the voltage will last longer. So that's basic. It's not that the newer batteries last longer; they just maintain the 1.5 volts for a longer period of time and then just drop off. But this works a little bit differently. The battery's chemical cocktail is still loaded with juice, of course, but with the circuitry, many gadgets, like I explained, they consider the battery dead. This is where the batterizer comes in. It's essentially a voltage booster that sucks every last drop of usable energy from ostensibly spent batteries. So instead of using just 20% of all the power hidden inside your Duracells and Energizers, batterizer makes it effectively use the remaining 80%. Voltage boosters, by the way, are nothing new, but batterizer scales down the technology to the point where it can fit inside a stainless steel sleeve less than 0.1 millimeters thick. They say that the sleeves are thin enough to fit inside almost every battery compartment imaginable, and the combined package can extend battery life between 4.9x for devices times like remote controls and almost 10 times for various electronic toys. This is very, very cool technology. And yes, a battery usually with the compartment where a battery goes in, it's the tolerance is pretty tight.
Yeah.
But it looks like they're showing it actually going into an Apple trackpad, and it fits. So it's very, very thin. It just adds a little bit of bulk to the battery, and evidently most battery compartments will be able to withstand this. So the batterizer has boost circuitry that will boost the voltage from 0.6 volts to 1.5 volts and will maintain voltage at 1.5, which is a brand new battery. Okay. And the inventor actually goes on to say there's no actual intellectual property in the boost circuitry, but their technology is really a miniaturization of technique that allows them to build the sleeve itself, which makes it different. Now, the proof is in the pudding to show that this actually does work and that he's not selling snake oil, okay? He ran tests on two dead AA batteries with a power meter. The batteries read 1.3 volts each, okay? And then he put the batteries inside a Bluetooth keyboard and connected the keyboard to a Mac. An on-screen display reported the batteries were toast. I've seen that happen. I mean, that's how it happens with mine. It says it's weak or it's no good. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So then next, he slipped the batteries inside two batterizer sleeves. He ran the metering test again. The same ostensibly dead batteries now read 1.5 volts. He then slipped the batteries into the keyboard, and voila, the Mac reported the battery level at 100%. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it
sounds like cheating.
Yeah. Again, the basic concept behind the voltage boost has been around for many, many years. The thing is that they have, the name of the company, by the way, is Bataroo. They've simply scaled it down to something that fits in these little tiny sleeves. And although the sleeves look fragile, evidently they're surprisingly sturdy to the touch. And that's it. And I don't know how he said. I think it's a great idea how they do this. I don't see a price here anywhere. What this costs?
What did you say at the very beginning? $2.50.
$2. Oh, that's right, $2.50. And you get them. You get them in sets. You get a $10 set of batterizers, and basically they're saying that the circuit boosters will pay for themselves after 3 typical battery life cycles, and I would think that they would if it does exactly what they're saying they do. So there they are. I think it's something definitely worthwhile. Where can you get something like this?
Well, it says Amazon, so that'd be a good place to start. I'm sure Bataroo has their own website where you can probably purchase their products from. But yeah, just go online. I'm sure if you look up a batterizer or Bataroo, you'll find something.
But again, I hope I was clear in explaining the concept. When a battery starts to die, the voltage starts to go down slowly, and some electronic devices, it's important that they maintain the 1.5 volts. And so then when it gets to 1.4, 1.3, it says, hey, okay, this battery is dead. Although if you put it in a flashlight, it'll still work because flashlights don't really care. They're not that sensitive to it. What this does, basically, it boosts the whatever voltage is in there and maintains it for 1.5 for a longer period of time, and then it completely dies very, very quickly. So this obviously looks like it's something that's going to work. I'm going to try to get a couple of these and try them out for ourselves. Very interesting. Again, Technizer.
Low risk there at $2.50 or $10 a pack. I wouldn't worry about that. We have a little bit of time. We can go into this one. Google, you may have heard of them, publishes the boring details of its self-driving car accidents. And I thought, what would be more interesting than listening to car accident reports on radio?
Okay.
So again, this is from Google, and there are all of the accident reports that came through, and we're just going to focus on. Let's see, they actually. For anyone who's still scared about the whole self-driving thing, you can find them google.com/self-driving car, and you'll be able to find everything that they have published about the self-driving car, as well as the accident reports, all of them involving the self-driving cars. So if you want to see, the self-driving car sped up to 114 miles an hour, went back to 1970, whatever, stopped a kid from dating his mom or something like that. Like, doesn't matter what happens, they'll publish exactly what the accident report said. So here's one of the here's one that they listed in the actual article. Again, this one from Engadget, Richard Lawler, and yeah. And again, there are relatively few accidents for a car that has driven 1,011,338 miles so far. This thing's driven over 1 million miles, and it has a relatively low number of accidents. Here was one involving a Lexus back in May. A Google Lexus Model AV was traveling southbound on blah 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 in Mountain View in autonomous mode and was stopped behind traffic at a red light. At the intersection, a vehicle approaching from behind collided with the rear bumper sensor of the Google AV. The approximate speed of the vehicle at the time was an impact of about 1 mile per hour. So it just barely bumped him. There were no injuries reported at the scene by either party, and the Google sustained minor damage to its rear sensor and bumper. There was no visible damage to the other vehicle.
At 1 mile per hour, it sustained damage? I mean,
to its sensors, because again, these are still prototype. These are still beta cars where they are just chocked full of very delicate and very precise sensors. So
well, maybe maybe the actual production versions will be a little bit more
for sure
beefed up.
But at least these they're very sensitive, and even a 1 mile per hour collision can cause some kind of damage. And yeah, most of the accident reports, which they actually have here in a PDF, a lot of them are just like that. Like they're other people's fault. They're not really much to talk about, and it's kind of boring, which is good, which is what we want to hear. Because if self-driving cars were making headlines, the fastest way they do it would be if, Google self-driving car does 80 through a school zone and tears through a jungle gym. Like, we don't want to hear about that, but we're okay with hearing that some other guy bumped into a Google car going 1 mile an hour. That's a good headline for Google.
It is. It's good. I want to get this story in here because we actually talked about it a couple of days ago. I think with Mike Cermak, actually.
Back on Wednesday.
Yeah, from Ars Technica. We were talking about one of the features that we liked about Google Chrome. It had a feature that if let's say you have several tabs open, and obviously you're only looking at the tab that's selected. All the other tabs, you don't see what's going on. You just see them up there. And if one of the websites begins to play audio, a little speaker appears in the tab. So you just have to look at which tab has a speaker, and you can quickly click on that tab or close that tab, so you don't have to worry, or compete with the sound. Other than that, you have no way of knowing, which of the 10 or 15 tabs you have open, and you want to stop the audio. You just have to close the whole shebang, So, well, evidently, Mike had suggested, or you had suggested, that Google was going to improve this feature, and according to Ars Technica, they have Google Chrome will soon intelligently block auto-playing flash ads. So basically, the story again from Sebastian Anthony says that if a website begins to play, as you in the background, it's an auto-playing flash ad, especially if they contain audio. Good news: the next version of Chrome will automatically block flash content that isn't central to the web page. So this is actually they're taking it to the next step. Google has been working with Adobe for years to get Flash and Chrome to play nicely together, but clearly Google has decided that Flash usage on the web needs to be curtailed and controlled just like a little bit more. So writing on the official Google Chrome blog, the developer explains that this new feature is all about battery life. Flash animations can, consume a lot of CPU time, which
for sure,
waste your battery. So by intelligently, and intelligently is in quotes, pausing any Flash elements that aren't central to the surfing experience, which is essentially a euphemism for ads, mobile users may experience a non-negligible boost in battery life. Okay.
Because again, Google is all about the mobile devices. They have the Chromebooks, they have all the phones, through Android. They have all these features that would definitely benefit from, not having to display all these ads and play all this audio and play all these video that will eat up a lot of your band time. I'm sorry, a lot of your battery life.
Yeah. But I'm wondering, this still has nothing to do with the resource hog problem that we talked about with
No.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, the beta version of this came out today, and evidently will soon percolate down to the stable channels of Chrome soon, probably in about 6 weeks. But I think it's important to have this. Now they also say rather than blocking Flash elements entirely, the feature pauses the ads before they begin. You can then hit a play button if you want to see the ad, or Chrome accidentally pauses the wrong Flash elements. It's not clear if the new feature blocks other Flash-based content such as cookies, and that type of thing. So,
one thing that does something similar to this right now, like you don't have to wait for Google to come out with it.
is that
I tried it myself, and I wasn't too big of a fan because I actually like a lot of what it blocked. It's kind of like ad block, but it's called script block.
Oh.
And it's it blocks any scripts that are playing on the webpage, and be it for some kind of animation, be it for some kind of autoplay video, be it for whatever, it will block all of them. And sometimes, like, I found it so it got to the point where I was having to go in and kind of re-enable each feature that I actually did like, and it could be anything from like a scrolling banner, like it would stop that kind of stuff. And it would definitely do what Google is promising, which I guess is why they have the quote-unquote intelligently. But you could try that now and see if you like it. I personally didn't, but it's available. Didn't mention it, but good on Google for trying to, again, take this as an intelligence test.
Well, here's the last thing that's an important point. It says that this new feature will be turned on by default. So when it hits the stable channel, hundreds of millions of Chrome users will have their Flash ads grayed out. So if the advertising industry has been holding out on switching to HTML5, this will probably be the straw that finally breaks the resolve, and they'll get rid of Flash, and hopefully get rid of Java too eventually. They are acronyms. They're archaic. Excuse me. They're archaic.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you. They are archaic. They need to be phased out along with the floppy disk drive. I mean, they don't need it. HTML5 will do everything that Flash and Java does, and not kludge up your system with all these additional plugins that these companies force you to do. And I'll be very, very glad when that happens. Again, kudos to Google for starting to make this happen.
But again, this is just for Chrome users.
Yeah.
So if you're not a Chrome user, by default, this has no effect on you. Just like if you are using Firefox or Opera or one of those, or Safari, don't sweat it.
Yeah, but I wish Firefox would do something like this because I like Firefox. And
oddly enough, I think Google has the money to throw around to kind of put more into active research and development. You're going to see Firefox playing catch up for a while Google comes out with these neat little features.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Do we have time to one quick story here? I think Xfinity.
Yeah, no, not that one. The Pirate Bay. You may know them. They are calm that. They are the #1 place that people go to illegally download content. Although they're used for some legitimate things, but these things happen. It turns out that they did a study that in 2012, 2013, the ISP is ordered to block the Pirate Bay and all their affiliates. And they said that by doing so, everyone would think, hey, legitimate sales would go up because they can no longer get it for free. The only way they can get it is by downloading it for, at a cost. Well, turns out it didn't work that way. They have the estimates here about, how much revenue was actually increased. And when you block most of the major pirating websites and networks, the cost spent on legit media doesn't increase.
Yeah.
So like even if you take away the option to pirate, money going into iTunes, Netflix, all that kind of thing doesn't really increase. There is no correlation that between the two. So again, not saying pirating is good, just saying that if you took away all the pirates, there'd be more money flowing around. Isn't exactly a valid excuse anymore.
Wow.
It sounds kind of counterintuitive, but
very counterintuitive.
But hey, numbers don't lie.
No, they don't. Go figure. Hey, listen, the weekend is upon us, and again, I want to thank all of our listeners for listening to us tonight. Again, thanks again to James Cinnamanoff, who was the chief inventor, CEO of the Ring video doorbell.
That was a very cool product.
Very cool product, and wish him the best of luck. And also, thanks again to Morgan Wright, who was the cybersecurity expert. Talking.
That was a very good hour.
Yeah, talking about all the cyber threats and what we can do to kind of help.
And how your children are a threat as well.
I found the best. I love that when you start talking about
let me guess, the Social Security number.
Yeah, why not? You don't have to give it to your doctor. Why? You don't need to do that. Of course, you make a big point out of it, and he might not want to take your services. You got to be
90 seconds.
It's a balancing act. What can I tell you? But anyhow, so coming up on Monday,
the Big Lebowski, you're not wrong.
Yeah,
you're just never mind.
Yeah. Coming up with tomorrow on Monday night, the first hour will have more computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And then in the second hour, we're going to have Atmosphere. It's a SPHEIR. It's a social address book that allows you to chat and exchange unified contact information with one ID. This is very cool. With your smartphone, with your tablet, basically pictures. One ID. It's a social address book that allows you to chat with lots of people.
Sounds kind of like Facebook, but more personal.
A lot more personal. Yeah, exactly. So again, everybody have a great weekend. Thanks again for being with us here tonight. Have a great week.
Go see San Andreas. It came out today.
Yeah, and Ben and I will see you on Monday night. So until Monday night, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you Monday night.
10 seconds.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right. Again, thanks everybody for watching us here. Got lots of viewers tonight. I see Las Vegas guy. Hey, thanks everybody for being here. Ben and I will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.